The Front de Libération du Québec was founded in March 1963 when Quebec was undergoing a period of remarkable change in industrial expansion and modernization. The FLQ wanted the overthrow of the Quebec government, the independence of Quebec from Canada, and the establishment of a French-speaking Quebec Workers' Society. The FLQ had a Marxist view. They believed that Quebec would not be truly independent until it had undergone a social as well as a political revolution. They based their ideals off of those of Cuba's Fidel Castro, and often associated themselves with the activities of striking workers. The FLQ operated as a clandestine cell system where various cells emerged over time. There was the Videur cell, or the Videur cell, founded by a history professor at the Université du Québec à Montréal, the Dieppe cell, the Louis Riel cell, the Nelson cell, the Saint-Denis cell, the Libération cell, and the Chenier cell. Overall, they were responsible for more than 160 violent incidents in which 8 people were killed and many more were injured. They justified their violence by reference to the 200 years of Anglo-Saxon violence against the Quebec people. The FLQ attacked in waves. Different cells carried out different waves, and not all of the cells were active at the same time. The first wave included the bombing of a railway by which Prime Minister John Diefenbaker had arranged to travel within that week, along with the bombing of English-owned businesses, banks, and McGill University. All the members of the cell that carried out the attacks were eventually arrested. In the second wave, a group of 6 individuals, 2 of whom were brothers of FLQ members arrested after the first wave, stole approximately $100,000, roughly $747,000 when adjusted for inflation. During the third wave, a botched robbery left 2 people dead. The fourth wave saw the increasing use of explosives, although one FLQ member was killed by his own bomb. Other bombings include the Montreal Stock Exchange and home of the Montreal mayor Jean Drapeau. The bomb had been hid in his toilet so inspectors couldn't find it. The leader of the cell that was responsible for the Montreal Stock Exchange bombing was given the most severe sentence in the history of the British Commonwealth, 124 life sentences. One FLQ member cell bought a house that they named the Little Free Quebec. They would use it as a hiding spot. The October crisis occurred on October the 5th, 1970, when FLQ members dressed as deliverymen kidnapped James Cross, the British Trade Commissioner in Montreal. The kidnappers threatened to kill Cross unless the government released 23 prisoner inmates charged with crimes committed in the name of the Front. They also wanted $500,000 in gold, and their manifesto read on national television. The Quebec government was willing to negotiate with the FLQ, but balked at giving in to the majority of their demands. On October the 10th, the Quebec Minister of Justice offered safe passage abroad to the kidnappers in return for the liberation of their hostage. But on the same day, a second FLQ cell kidnapped the Quebec Minister of Labour and Immigration, Pierre Laporte, the Vice Premier. The news sent ripples of panic through the public and gave the impression that the FLQ was a large, powerful organization. On October the 15th, the Quebec government requested the assistance of the Canadian Armed Forces, and on the 16th, the federal government proclaimed the existence of a state of apprehended insurrection under the War Measures Act. It allowed police searches and arrests without warrants, and prolonged detentions without charges and without the right to see a lawyer. A total of 450 people were arrested, the majority of them supporters of Quebec's nationalism. The Canadian Armed Forces were sent to protect Ottawa, and soldiers were standing guard in front of all the important buildings. On October the 17th, the body of Pierre Laporte was found in a car trunk, strangled to death. It was the first political assassination in Canada since the murder of Thomas D'Arcy McGee 102 years earlier. Laporte's death would mark the beginning of the end of the FLQ as its sympathy abruptly shifted away from the group. In early December 1970, the cell holding James Cross was discovered by police, and his release was negotiated in return for the kidnappers, the Libération cell, safe passage to Cuba. 4 weeks later, the second group was located in a country farmhouse basement and arrested, subsequently to be tried and convicted for kidnapping and murder. They received from 20 years to life imprisonment, although they are now all out on parole. The emergency regulations under the War Measures Act were replaced on December 1970 by similar regulations under the Public Order, the Temporary Measures Act, which lapsed on the 30th of April 1971. At the time of the October crisis, the group only had 35 members.